Okay, so I was going to make a food pendulum evocation ritual to demonstrate the steps, but I'm just gonna put the script for it because there's no point in me seeing it and reciting these long prayers and all that. You do that yourself, right? So I'm gonna show you how the board works after the prayers are said, because again we have the prayer to Satan, which gives one the ability to communicate. We have the first Enochian key, which opens the gates. We have the call to Samael, which constrains the demon to come forth from the depths. We then have the conjuration, which constrains the demon after being called by Samael to bring it to communicate with you through the board, right? And then you have the welcome, because you always have to be courteous. You always have to they're for us, and they're not enemies. They're chaotic and balanced forces, but that's only a human that's like a human concept for them. They're just that's just their nature. They're not trying to destroy. They're not trying to they just they're fighting for the same things we're fighting for. We're fighting for self sovereignty, for individuality, for personal power. And but yeah, we will. I will bypass all the prayers. However, the Enochian key. It's remember pronunciation guide for that as well. So what I will do, I would recite how the Enochian key should be sounded properly, and you can kind of follow along with the text and how I say it to get the proper pronunciation. I can't pronounce right now. All right. Okay. So we will do that, and then I'll show you the board works. Because I once you get to a certain point, you don't well, at least with your personal guard and guardian, uh you don't need to use ritual anymore. At first you need to use to establish communication. Once communication is established, you can dispense with the ritual and just talk to them. However, if you want to contact a demon for a demonic pack, for instance, or one that you do not work with, just for whatever questions you have for it, then you have to use a ritual. Because there are the the rules of summoning must be abided by us and by them. So if the rites are said properly and followed step by step, they must answer. Same thing with angels; they must answer. Um, and it's just part of the game. And we must also abide by the rules. Like if you make a demonic pact, you must abide by the rules of demonic pact summoning, right? And if you violate, then that's on you. Something bad could happen. If they violate, then that's on them. They go back to the abyss. And so it's kind of a tit for tat. Nothing's free in this world. So we kind of make contracts between us. So even after you start working the demon, you must adhere to your agreement, which is to call it unto you. If you violate this, then yeah, they get pissed off and they'll leave you. And by the same token, once you are calling with them, they must abide by what you're saying. They must come forth. They must answer your requests. Once they are with you, yeah, no pacts necessary. You can simply tell them to do something, and they have to do it. All right. Um, about the prayers and the conjurations, I generally I teach to memorize everything. So what I usually do, this is what I do when I'm learning a new conjuration. I go one sentence at a time, or possibly one paragraph at a time, depending on how long the text is, and I recite it over and over in my mind until I memorize it. And then a second paragraph, or sentence, or whatever the case would be, depending on the size of the text. And in that way, I keep going, going, going until I have the whole thing memorized. So I keep repeating the first part over until I remember it. I keep repeating the second part over until I try to remember that, and that's the first part, and so on and so forth. All right. The Enochian language is kind of difficult. I usually memorize the keys that I use frequently. But I'm at the point where I really don't use the keys anymore because my gates are opened. So so I will recite the key for you, give you a better understanding of the proper pronunciation, and we'll go from there. So I will just read the again. We are going to use the first Nokian key, and this is my board. And this is the book. And so I have so right here in the book, this is the first note key. I put pronunciation marks so that you can see, how to pronounce each vowel. And I also have a pronunciation key right here, so you can see how the vowels are pronounced. And I also want to show you something else cool here. So this is my retro book. I've had this for like about 17 years, right? And so I have a bunch of rights here that I've saved over the times. Here's the prayer to Satan. We have here the call of Samael. And the various rituals that were given to us by the demons with which I communicated with, right? And so, and again, this right was received not by a human, it was received by a fallen angel, right? And so, yeah, so there's a lot of cool stuff here. I save it because it's kind of like a keepsake from me. It's not part of my ritual journal. We also need to get to that too. You must keep a journal. You must keep a journal to record your progress. Your communications. Always have a pen and paper ready, because the pendulum it sometimes takes a while to spell words out. So you must be ready to write down each word at a time, because after you write a word down, and especially if it's like a long word or sometimes it might be a different language. So you want to make sure you record that so you don't forget it, and even if you just it's write little points like like word, and but not the entire conversation, right? And so you should record just certain words, and it's kind of like a mnemonic device. A mnemonic device that use something to lock something in memory, right? And so you can use simple phrases or simple words to lock the entire conversation in your mind. So there are different ways to go about it. But in general, always keep a pen and paper handy. Always have your journal handy to record the conversation afterwards. Because if you wait till the next day, you'll still remember the gist of it, but you won't have it verbatim, right? So so do that. So I've had this. I think like 16 years, I think, roughly. All right. So this is the board I use. Okay. So I made this board in 2009, I believe. The swastika is it's just kind of symbol. It is used to to access these satanic forces, right? But we no longer use it. I mean, if that's your preference, that's fine. However, the true portal is the red upright equilateral triangle with the eye of Satan in the middle. And so that's going to be like our portal. And so through the 9 angles, they rise. I will also have the symbolism for that also in the text of the course. Okay, so so rather than having this, you just have the letters any style you want, whatever language you speak. If your language is French, Indonesian, Italian, or whatever, you could change the alphabet accordingly, right? So this is mine. We're going counterclockwise. Start at A here. I come down around this way, till I get all the way around, right? And so we're gonna do that. And so the Enochian key is first key is pronounced like this. O son of Va Oreza Ji Goho Yad Balata La Nusahe Ka Elazod Va Nupeho Sobra Zadal Rore Ita Na Zoda Pesad Gira Ta Ma Al Pareji Ds Hawak Kwa No Tehoa Zodemezon Oda Komemahe Ta Dobelohe Zodin Soba Tahil Jinanupe Pareji Aladi Ds Rebeza Obelehe Ji Resam Kasarame Ohorela Tabapire Ds Zoda Nure Nusaji Kab Erem Yanahe Pilahe Farazodem Zodinarezoda Adana Gono Yadapia Ds Hometohe Soba Ipami Louis Pamis Ds Loholo Vepe Zolemeda Po Amal Oda Bogira Aaita Pi Ape Pi Amo Oda Vu Anu Zodakari Oda Eka Zodomranu Odo Kikale Kwa Zodareje Lape Zodarido Nokomada Hotai Satan. Alright, and so we're gonna do that. And so after you see the key, then you do the call of Samael and the conjuration, all that stuff. I'm gonna bypass all that right now, and I will show you how this works. Okay, so you can use anything for pendulum, doesn't really matter. I've been using this one for ages. The string's dirty. Because yeah. So it's just you know what it is. It's just clipper string. You use a ring. You guys use crystal. I used to use a quartz crystal when I was younger. With a beaded string, that cool stuff. But anything that's not too heavy, that will hold him. That will swing freely, but not too freely. Kind of like that. So let's see here. I will call my brother Belial. So first after you call any demon you're working with, your guardian, whatever, you're gonna say, "Are you here?" And it's gonna start swinging. So, my brother Belial, in the name of Satan, I call you forth. Come forth, communicate with me. Are you here? I'm not moving it. The board moving itself. Then you say, it's gonna keep answering yes until you say something. What is thy name? And so part of the ritual of summoning, a spirit cannot lie about its name, so it must answer truthfully about that, right? So right now it's pointing at the B, and it will keep pointing at the B until you call the B out, right? So that's how it works. You say B. And after that, it starts swinging back around again until it comes to the next letter in the name. And of course, we know the next letter is going to be E. It's pointing at E. Now we got E out of the way. E. It's going to come around again. And the next letter again is going to keep pointing at it until I either consciously or unconsciously or rather just force my mind to call the name Al. I call it in my mind Al, but I'm going to say Al. All right. And so now it's going to go to the next letter. It's pointing at I. So I'm going to call I. And then it's going to come back around again. And now it's going to point, of course, at A. I'm going to call A. Again, I'm not moving this. This is the power of the demon. I'm in communication with the fallen angel at present. And so he's pointing at Al. Al, I'm going to call Al. So it's Belial. And that's going to stop. And it's going to sit there and wait for you to ask questions. And once you start asking questions, it will yay, nay. A lot of times they speak in Old English language, right? So that instead of saying no, they might say or rather instead of saying yes, they might say yay. A lot of times they speak in Enochian. Also, spirits speak cryptically sometimes, so you might not understand what it's saying. Just write everything down, letter for letter, but let it make sure let it swing for a number of times at that one letter to make sure that that's the letter that it wants to say. Because if it's speaking a different language that you understand, and you're like what the fuck, you're like, what is this spelling, right? So make sure that it's swinging to that one letter until you I make sure that that's the one, and then call it, but write it all down, because you might not know what it means now, but you figure it out later on, right? And so that's how it works. And after you're done communicating with the demon, you're going to give the license to the part that will also be in the script of the course, and and then you send it off to do its thing, right? And you have now acquired the power to communicate with demons. You would access the name of a fallen angel to work with. You would then begin. Our next step would be descend to hell. Hail Satan.